Howdy, friends, and let's talk about your arrogance, my arrogance, our arrogance, people's arrogance, narrow mindedness. I think the hardest thing in life is to actually admit that you're narrow minded, arrogant, stupid, stuck up, entitled, privileged. And those labels, by the way, cross all genders, all races. It has nothing to do with social strata and the other things that we're talking about in the world. I mean, I'm literally talking about characteristics that the most benevolent and loving people I know can be shitheads sometimes. So I read this quote somewhere. It was like the sure telltale signs of a narrow mind and arrogance are an inability to, listen to or whatever, communicate with those who think differently. And I thought to myself, gosh, that's so true. Because a couple of years ago, when things were starting to shake up, let's say, whatever, it could have been 2016 because of the political environment, but more so for me in 2020 when COVID really started shaking things up. I was like, geez, first of all, I've never been in love with social media. So I wasn't really like on it looking for friends or connections. I have enough of those in the real physical world. But I was starting to get on it more for my business. And so I was starting to read a lot about people's strong opinions and the very, very farness and stretches of those opinions to opposite sides. And I looked at my basic friends, a good part of whom I actually have met and know, rather than people I met on Facebook. And I was like, a lot of them really seem to be leaning to one side, of which I won't say which side, because I don't really think that it matters. And I thought to myself, well, gosh, I don't know if that's going to really lend any breadth and depth to the way I feel about myself with everything that's going on. And there might also be some missing pieces to the way that I'm looking at things, because I would almost sometimes refuse to look at the other side. And so I said, well, what would happen if I started friending some of those people that have some things on their pages that I'm like, not that. Oh my God. They can't talk about that. They can't like him. They can't possibly be supporting or listening to yada yada or blah, 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 blah. So I was like, no, let me friend some of those people. And of course, if you know anything about social media, as soon as you start friending certain people of a certain type, ilk, demographic, age, gender, race, whatever, they start sending you more posts. So what's interesting is that whereas my friends were heavily imbalanced, they started to more balance. And now I would say I have much more equality. I may even say that as I continued to delve into the issues that were happening and to decide my own point of view, some of my points of view became a little leaning away from ways that I had typically looked at and thought of the world and social issues, which was really good for me, because as I started to lean away from friends or people that I was close to, or even Facebook friends that you would think sort of had some alignment with you and who you are, I started to feel like a little outside and lonely and kind of cast out, because I also started to see that, for example, how I felt, let's just say, about politics, the vaccination, all the big things, voting, other issues, that are really near and dear and people feel strongly about. I started to see that, in fact, my points of view on those things were actually more estranged from the typical groups of people that I had been more a part of. And as I started to feel almost like I was floating in between, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to make up my own mind. I'm going to actually, in choosing to look at people different than me and seek to see what these people different than me were saying, I was learning a lot about myself. And I was feeling really ostracized because I didn't quite fit here and I didn't quite fit there. So here I am, like this floating bubble. Who am I? What do I think? Am I on the left or am I on the right? Do I hate these people or love these people? Do I believe in this or do I not believe in that? And it was a real struggle for me. But here's what happened. I built this confidence and this strength and this adherence and wonder towards this type of exploration of making up my own mind. I started to look at things a little bit more deeply, and not what the media and press was saying, but what was going on in my immediate environment, among my friends, the people I spoke with, the people I interacted with, even some stranger at a coffee shop, as well as my best friends. And I started to realize there were vast differences between what I was reading on media and what was happening with the real people in my life, real blood pumping, physical experiences happening around me. And it really stretched me. It really made me better. It created more depth. I feel like I have like a lot more confidence because I'm less and less and less attached to what's going on here and here. I'm more like, oh, wow, I could actually swing either way. And I can actually sit now through discussions on some major contentious issues like the virus, like race and social justice, like misogyny or gender equality or any other things like that. I can actually sit through conversations with people who have different opinions and be present and not feel like I have to jump in and argue or make my point or make sure I'm heard or, oh, if I'm not heard or I don't say anything, I'm not advocating or, I'm sending the wrong message. No, I'm actually more and more capable of having pure conversations filled with love as well as my strong opinions, right? And isn't that a great thing? Because now, if somebody says something that I don't like and I start feeling myself roll my eyes and be like, all right, whatever, dude, I actually self examine. I sit back and I go, why do I think that way? Or what's rubbing up against me that this person's saying that's just like, ugh, and how do I sit with that and really look at the pieces or parts of it that either do or don't resonate with me? And then how do I gain more information about myself and my ability to be useful in the world? I think that's the point. So thanks for listening for over 6 minutes to my 5-minute power shot. I hope you have a good day.